Hey everybody, this is Paul and Brendan, and today we are in the Lexus RCF.
Which stands for?
Radical Coupe.
And it is a radical coupe because it is bright yellow. It's like Big Bird out there.
Yeah, flare yellow. And let me tell you, you get the looks just from the paint color.
Oh yeah. You see this thing coming a mile away, which is the intended, purpose of this bright yellow paint color. It is a gorgeous car. It sounds amazing.
A naturally aspirated V8.
Because it has that naturally aspirated V8 making 472 horsepower.
Correct, and 395 pound-feet of torque.
And it's put through some pretty wide rubber.
Yep, 255s in the front and 275s in the rear.
Right, and launch control in this vehicle will definitely earn you a few stripes on the road.
Yes, definitely.
It's got a limited slip rear differential, and it will put the power down to both the wheels. And so this is Lexus's premier coupe. Obviously, you've got one step above this, the LC500, but this is sort of their, I would say, bread and butter coupe.
Yeah, I think the LC is a little bit more of a touring GT.
Yes.
A little bit more laid back, even though it's a beautiful car, but it's just a little bit more laid back. This is more of the track focus car. In fact, there is a specific track edition to the RCF.
Right, which they only made like 100 or 200 of. It's really
very limited production, but this is the model that they chose to do that in because this is pretty much their most aggressive car that they have.
Right, so for this review, we are going to show you what the RCF is like on the street, and then we're going to take it to a racetrack and show you what it's like on the track.
And I can't wait for that.
That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
So, Paul, we got to talk about the outside of this car. To me, it's pretty nice. I mean, you love or hate that front spindle grille, but
yeah,
it works for me in this car. It really does.
It's pretty well integrated. I think the spindle grille works much better on their cars than they do on their SUVs.
Yes, the carbon fiber treatment on this car. So this car has an $11,000 carbon fiber
so the base
package.
Price of this car is about $66,000.
Right,
okay?
and so you add
which, when you think about it, V8, high horsepower, track focused car, that's actually not bad. However, when you opt for the performance package, which puts on that carbon fiber trim and gets you the limited slip differential, now you're adding 11 G's to that. Now you're just getting, and with the comfort package and all that stuff, you're getting into the 80s.
Right.
So now it's starting to get expensive.
Well, and you compare it to different things. I mean, this isn't a two-seater, but it kind of is because that back seat is pretty unusable.
2+2, yeah, which they're always kind of unusable.
So if you're not going to use the back seats anyway, now you're talking about Corvette money at $80,000,
yeah.
And this is really geared toward like an M3, M4, and that's a little bit more money, but about the same. It depends on how you option out the cars. So it's in the right neighborhood. But I wanted to say this carbon fiber package is really nice. The outside especially uses it well. You've got the whole exposed carbon fiber roof, and it's all exposed carbon fiber, so it's just got some really nice treatments inside and outside. Ooh, a DeLorean DMC-12. You do not see too many of those, folks.
We got it on video.
I know. It's just awesome. So, the exhaust sounds great. The fact that it's a naturally aspirated car means you get power right away when you hit it.
It's very linear.
Yeah.
And the forte of this car, as opposed to like a Corvette or something, is just so daily drivable, so smooth, so quiet, so serene.
It's a Lexus.
It's a Lexus, and you add in the rock solid reliability,
right? And
you really can't go wrong.
No. Now you do have the standard Lexus interior, which includes the very hated trackpad.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to.
Yeah, it does. The problem for me is that when you're trying to use it and moving at the same time, your finger just kind of moves around too much.
It's a little bit difficult to use. We've been saying that in every Lexus video.
It always feels like you're trying to write in an earthquake.
Yeah.
It's just, you just can't seem to get what you wanted to get out of it. But the screen is nice and big and wide.
Yeah.
It's just kind of far away.
The thing that kind of gets me though is it just looks, the interior looks a little tired.
Yeah, it's getting a little long in the tooth. Trust me, everything in here is very, very nice, but it does feel like it's up for maybe a complete redo at some point in the near future.
It definitely needs an interior refresh.
So, Paul, tell us about this transmission.
Okay, 8-speed automatic. You can put it in manual mode, and you do have the steering wheel mounted shift pedals.
And how big? Oh, those are decent size.
They're decent size. So.
Yeah, ooh, nice.
Get a little bit of flip.
You can tell those rear tires just want to break loose.
Yeah, they do, definitely do.
How are the brakes?
Brakes are good. You do have to push down on them just a little bit, but they're very linear.
Woohoo! Yeah, that is a very fun road. It really shows off just how much, think of a handful this thing can be if you really get into it.
It does have a little tendency to understeer, and of course when you give it power it oversteers.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun. You can have a blast driving this, but it is a little bit of that, tame the beast kind of driving experience, which we love. Exactly.
And I can tell you from the passenger seat that these seats really hold you in as you were doing all that.
And they're phenomenally comfortable.
This would be a great GT cruiser, even though the LC is sort of that for the Lexus. This also...
It's kind of a dual personality.
Yeah.
You can cruise on the highway and just have a nice, serene experience. And if you want to get aggressive, put it in Sport Plus, shift over the transmission to manual, and you can have some fun.
Absolutely.
Okay, Brendan. So
I'm finally in the driver's seat.
You're finally in the driver's seat. So the first thing that we're going to put you through is we're going to do a 60-mile-an-hour to 0 braking test.
Yes.
All right. We do have a little course set up here. We got some cones laid out, and we got some boxes at the end. So what happens is the car's supposed to brake from 60 and 104 feet. Now, this track or this road's a little damp, so we moved it to 110 feet and put the boxes there. So let's see.
Let's see how it does.
Let's see if it actually brakes according to spec.
All right, so for this braking test, what we've done is set the cruise control at 60. I'm gonna get close to it, flick it on, and then try to brake at the appropriate time and hope we stop in time. So here goes nothing. Did you see that?
Okay,
oh my
well,
God.
Obviously, you either hit the brakes too late, you were going over 60, or something happened, because I know the road's a little damp.
I'm going to blame it on the damp road, because
I gave you 6 feet.
I may have been going a little too fast.
Okay.
Which is understandable, considering that this car can get you to too fast like this. So, I mean, the 0 to 60 time is around 4 seconds. So, yeah, either I broke too late or I was going too fast, or probably both. But that was still pretty awesome.
That was pretty funny.
Now these brakes they're amazing. So I'm not going to fault the brakes, but because the pedal feel is awesome, they do pull you down. You don't feel like you're not stopping. But I think we should go test this out on the racetrack now.
We're going to check out the fade.
Yeah, so see how they do after repeated braking over and over. So let's go hit the track right now. If I wanted to drift this, could I? All right, Paul, here we are, finally on the
parade lap.
Yes, I know. All right, Paul, so I wanted to test out how the transmission, this is an 8-speed automatic, would do in drive. And so I'm in Sport Plus. I've got the TBD and track mode. And I can see that the wing is up, because it tells you that in the dash. Trying to give us some downforce. But without me shifting, it's doing a good job downshifting into the turns. And it's just not a lot of front end grip. But it's fun. Oh, it makes a lot of good noise.
It does. It sounds amazing. That V8 is glorious.
And so it downshifts for you as you brake.
Yeah, it's doing a pretty good job, actually.
Yeah, it seems to get you in the right gear for the turn.
You know, it's getting to the point, especially on the dual clutch transmissions, where you almost don't even have to do your own inputs.
You
the computer is so smart now.
You're going to be slower doing it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so so kudos on the transmission. They dialed it in right. I mean, yeah, it's just holding that gear right where it needs to be. It's downshifting for you. That's a pretty good software logic right there. I'm liking it.
So it seems like remember how we were kind of worried about the tail end on the street?
Yes!
So it seems like on the track, it actually feels at home.
It totally feels at home. In fact, I don't even have the traction control on. And it's not slipping at all.
Now, see, that is impressive.
So, I don't know what happened. Maybe the tires are just warmed up. But that is pretty amazing.
Yeah, like right now.
Right.
Now that nothing. It just sticks.
That's some kind of voodoo magic you guys got going on there at Lexus. I mean, that's crazy. The worst thing I could say is that front end grip could be better, you know, and we haven't adjusted the tire pressure yet.
Yeah, we have to adjust the tire pressure, and also don't forget you got all that weight in the front.
Yeah.
So it just kind of wants to just slide out
like
from
right here. It's like the front end. I can feel it letting go.
Yeah.
So you get communicative steering. It's telling you feel from the tires when they're just kind of like pebbling along. It almost feels like you're just running along some pebbles. And not bad at all. It's not the sharpest turning car, but it's not the worst by far. And as long as you're, I'm not stabbing at the gas, because that's not how you drive on track either. You roll on, you roll off.
Correct.
But it's
braking smooth.
Yeah, braking is smooth.
And no out of the ordinary
even there
turns.
I would have expected some cars would have given you braking and lift off oversteer there, and it didn't happen.
No, the lift off oversteer
doesn't exist. So that trick rear end, so that this is a
limited slip differential back there.
It's an electronic limited slip differential.
Yeah, but it's doing its job.
And it's really working well. This is really cool. Yeah, and they have the different modes. If you want to just do like a mountain road, you put it in slalom mode.
Yeah.
And if you're on track, it's working its ass off back there to give me maximum traction without slippage. I'm really impressed. This is cool.
Even from the passenger seat, I'm impressed.
All right. Well, the next thing is going to be to put a helmet on.
Yep.
And really adjust these tire pressures. And
yep. And we'll do a hot lap.
All right. That's coming up right now. Let's go. Woo. So far so good. Feels very balanced. The turn-in is not the sharpest, but this thing does weigh almost 4,000 pounds. The transmission doesn't seem to know what to do in the carousel right there. It's kind of like at the higher rev ranges, and then it just kicks up a gear, but not very smoothly. Not getting a ton of feedback from the tires or the steering. Steering feels nice and weighted, but not a lot coming back through the rack. Probably because it's electric steering. A little bit of corner oversteer, corner entry oversteer with the lift off.
When you really start pushing it, it starts to feel its weight. Again, what the RCF needs more than anything is a head-up display. When you're on track, as loud as the exhaust is, you can hit the rev limiter without realizing it. Not as bad as other cars. Don't get me wrong, but every car that goes on track could benefit from a head-up display because you just get the shift lights right in your field of view. You never have to take your eyes off the track, and that, looking down at the gauges is just something you really don't want to have to do when you're on the racetrack at all. But this thing has the power to compete on a racetrack. It feels, like I said, a lot like a 5.0 GT Mustang, where you've got more horsepower than you have torque, so it doesn't push you out of the turns like a Corvette will, like some of these more higher torqued V8s, but it pulls right about 4,500 to 5,000 RPMs. You can feel it. It's like somebody's grabbed a hold of the front with a winch and it's just pulling you along. And that is really where this car shines. So you want to keep the revs up, but you don't want to do a whole lot of shifting like the drive mode was doing, because it was choosing some ill-advised shifts. Again, a surprise given where the car was when we were doing some parade lapping. It felt better there, but when you really pushed it, maybe shift for yourself. Now, the RCF Track Edition, obviously, is a track-focused version of this car, and is the one that Lexus would say, if you want to do a lot of track driving, go buy that car. It starts in the 90s. I think it's around 100,000. It sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But compared to what this thing stickers for, which is about 87 and some change, it's actually not that much more. That car is lighter, and it has some extra, suspension bits and other things. And that is really the track-focused Lexus that we hope Lexus might loan to us so we could get it out on track and see how it does.
All right, Brendan, since you hogged it for the entire day and didn't let me drive it at all on the track.
Sorry about that.
What do you think?
I actually really enjoyed this on the track. I will tell you, though, that, of course, as soon as I turned the cameras off, I got my fastest time of the day, which was a 147.1, and which is it was much better than where we started, but there were a couple things I think holding it back. Number one is that the brakes start to fade after about 5 laps, I would say.
Which is surprising because they look like you got the grooves in them. I mean, they look massive.
They're big brakes. Yeah. They actually stop well, but they're clearly not intended for track use. So
all day long pounding.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're a stock pad and it's stock fluid, and I don't know that Lexus really put a lot of thought and effort into running like a dedicated brake duct in there. Yeah. So there's definitely stuff you could do aftermarket that would help the car stop better and give you just more confidence. It wasn't that the brakes never failed on me, but you lose confidence when that pedal starts to get soft. Yeah. And that equates, of course, into earlier braking and then slower lap times. And plus, I wasn't really pushing it at 10 tenths. This was more like 8.5, 9 tenths. So I think a pro driver, with maybe some better brakes and better brake fluid, going 10 tenths, this is probably a 144 car around here. Okay. So definitely a fast car. It reminds me a lot of the Ford Mustang, high horsepower, lower torque, really likes to rev out, and it pulls. It's a quick car. I mean, I was hitting 125 in the straights, so it's not a slow car. That's impressive, yeah. But its weight holds it back. So in the turns, you could definitely feel the weight shift. So it needs a diet, it needs better brakes, and the last thing it needs is a head-up display, because I found that putting it in drive and just using the drive in Sport Plus didn't produce the best lap times.
Well, when we took it on in a parade lap, it was actually working really well.
It was working great then, but then you start to push it, and then you get shifts in places that you don't really want them.
Okay, so it got a little confused.
It definitely got a little confused. The good news is that when you put it in manual mode, you can drive most of the track 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's quick and easy to get up and down in the gears. The shifts are fine. They're fast. Yeah. It's just that a couple of times in second gear, I was hitting the rev limiter because it's a quick gear, and shift lights are in the gauge cluster, but they need to be up on the windshield, so they just need a head-up display, or at least just shift lights like they do in the Ford GT350, where they just put the lights up there and nothing else. That's fine too. And of course, the last thing it needs.
Don't say it, please. Please
don't
say
it. I'm not getting through an entire video. It needs a manual transmission. Come on, Lexus. You've got a V8 rear-wheel drive car. You made the best manuals like on the planet in the 90s. Hello, Toyota Supra. Put a manual transmission in this car. In fact, one of the best manuals I've driven lately was the Toyota 86. You have the stuff in your bins. Put it in the car.
They're never going to put a manual in a Lexus. They're just not going to do it. So,
and that's the problem. It really is. It would be. I don't think it would be faster. It would be more fun with a manual.
Of course.
But that said, the car is a phenomenal luxury car that you could take onto the racetrack and enjoy every day. The seats were super supportive.
Yes, seats are great.
Yeah, and of course, this color really sparkles in the sun. So lots of kudos to Lexus for this car. We hope that they will give us one of the very limited track edition cars. But until then, until we can convince Lexus to do that, this has been Paul and Brendan for Sosa Speed. We will catch you next time here at the racetrack.
Take care.